If you say you love me or like me because of something, then you have to ask yourself why you like me because of those things. If you think you love me because you feel like I am handsome, I have beautiful eyes, beautiful this, beautiful that, if I get into an accident or by some kind of misfortune, I get crippled and lose that, or get burned but survive and lose those qualities that brought you to me, are you still gonna love me? Are you still gonna be with me? If you think, I'll say you love me because you think I'm so articulate, I'm so smart, I'm so this and that, I might have a disease or something that will make me lose those qualities. Are you still gonna love me? Who is the me that you say you love? Because if the love is predicated on accidental qualities, those things that I can lose, then how genuine is your love? So what is the human being that you say you love if it's predicated on those values? Because they're accidental and can get lost. As a young high school guy, you can imagine how this can be so powerful. So it started really making me reconsider friendship and relationship. We look at a king, we think a king is very happy. A king is a reflection of all of us as human beings, because we all want to be happy. We do not want to be bored. Human beings hate boredom. The reason we think the king is happy, when in reality he is not, or she's not the queen, is because the king or the queen is never left alone. There are always those servants around the king who create distraction for the king, entertainment. In his days, the king has always the court people, like entertainment, dancing, singing, and revering the king. Always have something, right, to make sure that the king is always entertained, always, always, always. And even close to the time he goes to bed, he still have people around him to really, all this. So the only time the king is left alone is when he's actually sleeping. And he says, if you take that king outside of this distraction and lock him up in a room and put a mirror in front of him and allow him to face that mirror and face himself, that king will not survive more than a few hours. In a way, this is a reality of us human beings. To be by yourself, facing yourself in the mirror, you're facing the mirror and really, really ask yourself, who am I? What is my purpose and the reason of me being here? Who am I? No distraction of those, everything, relationship, work, and all the things like all that. Just you and your own reflection in a mirror, and try to practice in a closed room with no noise, no nothing, just you and yourself. Try to practice that, you will see if you can survive. So monks are trying to do that sometimes. So and he says, conversely, put a slave who is serving the queen in a sleep and dreaming that he is the king in his sleep, having slave servant serving him, distracting him. What would be the difference between that slave who is perpetually dreaming and never wakes up and live the life of a king in that dream? What is the difference between that slave and the king who in reality is living it? He said there's no difference. There's no difference between the slave who will be dreaming like he's a king with people entertaining him and a king who is living that in real day life. That there's no difference in because if that slave never wakes up, that is his life there. In a way, that king is also living in a dream, but a dream of a different nature. Now, I said a slave serving the king, entertaining the king, and all that, he's just a slave, he's not body. But that slave now goes to bed, sleeps, and dreams that he now is the king in his dream, having other slaves serving him in his dream. He's not a slave anymore in his dream. He is the king now in his dream and has slaves serving him there. There's no difference between him and his reality in his dream and the actual king who is not dreaming, having actual slave serving him. Those two personalities are the same. So in a way, the actual king is also living in an imagination, in a superficial reality created to distract him. Just like the slave is also just dreaming about something that is not really real. And the king there also thinks that whatever is around him to distract him is real, where it's not actually, real at all. That's why he cannot survive by himself facing the mirror. There is a saying in English, the king is naked, or something like that. I don't know where that comes from. A naked skin, a naked king is, what? Yeah, the king without the clothes. So that's basically what that means, right? So for me, that makes sense of how much we allow ourselves to be distracted and to have an image of ourselves that we are not. That is the takeaway. That's the lesson of the whole philosophical thing. Now, how much we allow ourselves to be distracted, to give us a false image of who we are, fearing to face the reality of who we actually are. That whole concept of persona, that mask that we permanently put on, and depending on which context we are. If you look and observe your life, you can see that there's multiple of personality of you, depending on where you go. When you're with your white colleague, depending on the energy that is in the room, you have a personality you adopt there. When you're with your clients, little kid will look up to you as the mother and everything, you have another personality there. When you're in your comedy circle and all this stuff, you have another personality there, right? All of those different personalities are those things that we create around ourselves to present ourselves to the world, depending on what reality we are in. In a way, it is very difficult, scary to accept who we are, to face who we really are in the mirror, because a definition of who we are usually comes about through social lenses, who we're told we are and who we are made to believe that we are, how we allow ourselves to be distracted by those different things that society creates. But the authentic, essential, core, who we really are, we do not allow enough time to explore that, to try to find out what that is. That is why sometimes we get get caught up on those qualities. When we even come encounter with other people, what are the first thing we look for? Is it how they look? Is it how are they smart? How can we get along? Do they have a good energy? So we kind of look at many different things. So we distracted by those things that are superficial out there, that are some kind of who we are to the world and society, which is far away from who we actually really are in our essence, in our soul. That's what that means. Knowing one's potentials and capability and all that, based on what? Defined by what? Like you and for what purpose? Because if you really trying to know yourself, in which capacity do you want to know yourself? For example, the work that I have undertaken for a while was very, very clearly defined. was really to build your calluses in terms of knowing your roots, your origin, and everything, and get all the resources to navigate microaggression, micro racism, and different things that you just perceive, or either in the air or thrown at you or anything like that. So that is a specific definition, and that's just one layer of that. But there are other layers. The people who do not want to know themselves or define themselves based on anything of this world, because they feel like it's still too of a secondary nature, it's still too materialistic. They want to find themselves in a more spiritual way, so that's another thing. But some group of people don't have that luxury, because if your reality is defined by being able to survive in a very difficult environment, then your need becomes different. Your self-exploration, defining yourself, takes a different meaning, a different direction.